Hello, 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 and welcome to the Brighter Podcast. My name is Batsheva,
And my name is Chelsea.
and my life is so much brighter thanks to Chelsea.
And my life is definitely brighter thanks to Batsheva.
Chelsea and I love to come on this podcast and share all the tools, techniques, and stories that we have of the things we've tried and the things we love and the things we don't love in order to help you see how you can also make your lives brighter. And today we have really useful topic to get into, one that's made just enormous seismic changes ultimately in both of our lives. But before we get to the juicy topic, we are going to start by doing what we love to do, which is just taking a few breaths together in this space. And if you can, go ahead and shut your eyes or just relax your body, give it a little bit of permission to release. And let's all breathe in through our nose, a calming, quieting breath. Let it out through your mouth. Anything needs to go, let it go. Taking another nice, cleansing, soothing breath in through the nose. Let it out through the mouth. Anything needs to go, let it go. Last breath together, in through the nose, calming, soothing energy. Maybe with a sigh, a sound. Let it go, let it go. Hooray! So today's juicy episode 49 topic is micro changes, macro impact.
I know for me that it's been kind of a roller coaster ride of all the different, I don't want to say trends, the different tools that I use that I have in my tool bag. And sometimes in the past, I've really been like full fledged of like, I'm going to change 10 things at once and it's extreme. It's like, okay, I'm going to go from eating whatever I want and not thinking about anything to eating super, super clean, nothing processed, nothing fast food. Like, I'm not going to go out to dinner. It's like been extremes. And so for me, the micro changes that I have found kind of later in this journey have really been, like you said, seismic, like huge, because it's something that is a little shift and it's manageable and it's not rearranging my entire life or my entire schedule. It's like, oh, I'm going to brush my teeth for 30 seconds on each section every day instead of just brushing them normally. And maybe I'll do that for a while and see how that feels and see if it sticks and see if I like it. And it's also, I think, easier whenever you do the micro changes to kind of feel into it versus changing 10 things at once to extremes and then like feeling, whoa, what was the shift? What happened? What was the culprit?
I agree. I like the brushing teeth example because it totally reminded me of how lazy I was when I first got married. I would only usually just brush my teeth in the morning. I would just crash to bed at night, and terrible habit. I'm not recommending that to anyone. And I wasn't motivated to change it until I had children. And then I was like, oh shit, I gotta be the change I want to see in the world because I realized it's not gonna work if I just tell them that they have to brush their teeth. I mean, I realized it really early. I'm like, I better do that myself. And it actually took me like a good couple of months before it was just, I will never not brush my teeth. But you know what I mean? And do it well. It wasn't as easy as I thought it would be to get back to that good habit that I had throughout my whole life and that somehow dropped out during my alcoholic years of whatever, my 20s. I don't know that consistency. But sometimes the motivation for changing our habits is external. If it's like we want to look a certain way, or we want to get into school, or we want to get a job, or we want to learn a new skill, or we want to up level our health and wellness. Usually, of course, for me and Chelsea, that's like number one at this phase of our lives. But in my case with the teeth, it was like I wanted my kids to take care of their teeth. And I'm like, shit, I better do that.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I also think that recently the micro changes have felt, this might sound redundant, but just so much more manageable. It's like, oh, like there's not as much pressure. I find that really helpful. If I have a habit that I already am doing every single day, like, okay, well, what's something that I want to add in that I can kind of, where can I fit that in and kind of piggyback it along? Like, what does it pair well with? And how does that feel?
That is really smart, and it's definitely what the experts recommend, and I have several children with ADHD, and that's what all their therapists instruct them to do as well, because it's easy for them, especially with that condition, to get distracted from what they had intended to do to support themselves, so that's a really helpful tool. And for me, I usually start a new habit because I get very inspired by what it could mean for me. I'll start a workout habit or Tai Chi, or back when I was in the Kabbalah Center, we would do something called scanning the Zohar, which is basically reading a religious text, but with the caveat that in that case, I didn't read Hebrew, or I didn't understand Hebrew if my eyes would look over the text, and they have a theory that if even just your eyes are like a barcode and they see the Hebrew Aramaic letters of these ancient powerful Hebrew or Aramaic texts, that just by scanning the Hebrew for a certain amount of time a day, you can make huge changes, and I was so committed to that when I first came to the Kabbalah Center in my 20s, because a teacher there had basically told me that if I wanted to get, because I really wanted to get off my antidepressants, and she's like, "Just scan Zohar for, like, as long as you can every single day," and I was so motivated to not have to be dependent on antidepressants that I did it, and interestingly, I did wind up getting off antidepressants for good, and I think that there is a lot to be said for the power of the mind, honestly, and sometimes it's a placebo and sometimes it's not, and in the end, who fucking cares if it works, you know what I mean?
That just made me think of kind of like an example, and I think it was some housekeepers that, or maybe it was basketball players. I think it was like the same example for two different things. But anyways, in it, it's that there's this group of housekeepers and they divide them up, and one of them, tell them like how much exercise that they're getting in just by doing their housework up and down the stairs, like vacuuming, all these things. And so, and then by the end of the 30 days or whatever it was, like their stats and their health was so much more improved. And then the other group, they thought about it. They just thought about working out and what it would look like to be healthier and thinking about themselves as healthier. And they also had improvements
That's
compared to the other
crazy.
one.
That is
And
insane.
it's the same with, like, these basketball players. Some of them would actually shoot, like, 100 free throws every day, and it's like, okay, how much did they improve? And then the other ones would sit and meditate and just envision themselves shooting the 100 free throws, and they had almost the same exact
That's
results.
crazy, the power
So
of
it
our
really
mind.
yeah.
What?
And I think that another huge part of the micro changes, and actually just about anything that you're really working on or desiring, is celebrating the small wins. And this is something that has been newly introduced to me in the last year, of really celebrating the daily things. I mean, I guess it's not the last year because you and I have been doing the
I was
daily
gonna
dubs,
say,
but I
we the
guess
Daily Dubs is totally, in a sense, a celebration, but we didn't
right.
use the word celebration, but that looking back, that's what we were doing. We were celebrating each other.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and thinking about what it looks like to recall and to really emphasize what you have accomplished in a day, or what you have accomplished this week, or where you were like a month ago, and to really think about like all the little things that have added up or the things that you are doing. Often also had a friend who, she had this beautiful technique of, she had her list of to-dos and she would look at that, but then she would also write down, like, next to the list of to-dos, all the things that she had done, whether or not they were on the list.
Oh,
So
that's
that at the end
cute.
of the day, yeah, so that at the end of the day, she was like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, maybe I got 3 things done off the list, but look at all this other stuff that I got done." And
Oh,
it
that's
just
so
reminds me of
cute.
our
That's so cute.
yeah, of
I
our
love that.
exchange recently,
Yeah.
because you've been talking about how you've been flowing with everything that's
Mm,
been shifting in your schedule and changing, and what all the opportunities that it's really opened up for you.
totally. I
So,
love that. And it's not, it's like so my old version of me to just only write the to-do list. And I actually get like a little probably a dopamine hit when I check off one of my to-do lists. It feels so good to me that I just love it, you know? But wow, like also writing down what I did. I guess we speak it aloud. So for me, I love to share. And so for me, that even gives me more happiness. But if you don't have somebody with whom you're sharing on the daily, literally, like, I mean, Chelsea and I will wrap up. We share 3 wins, 3 loss, 3 wishes with each other every day. But our wins are often like
The entire
quite
day.
yeah, quite a short novel of, like, the entire day, step by step, and it's so gratifying. I'm so grateful to be able to share that with you because I know you are so happy for me, and it's like a kid with their parent, I think, like your mom, you know? My daughter will come home, she wants to tell me every detail of what went well, and it's like, yeah, that's how this feels. It feels good.
Yeah, it does feel good.
And I know we wanted to mention the book that it's kind of like the GOAT, like the Bible on this subject. It's not the only resource, but the Atomic Habits book by James Clear is something that Chelsea and I both read and referenced. And I was introduced to it from my sister Daly, who's a personal coach. And I think the point being that there are methods out there if you're someone who finds it difficult to adopt new habits and new micro changes. And one of those methods is exactly what Chelsea just said, though. It's like maybe even finding a community or at least one other person to help, like meet with them once a month. That's what I used to do as well. I would meet with one friend once a month and we would literally just give each other our goals and celebrate each other's progress. And something like that alone is huge and very powerful and kind of gives you something to work towards and think about to get support, in other words, as you're trying to make small changes.
Another little story just popped into my mind, and it was about the airplane that's driving, and if it changes 1 degree, like, after so many miles, it's gonna be hugely different destination than what it was originally targeted for. And so if we think about the micro changes that we're making in our life, if we just make one small change. I mean, I remember whenever I first just cut out dairy from my diet, and my body was like, "Fuck yeah, like, that's incredible," and I felt so much better. And then that was kind of what led me to the next step of like, "Okay, now I'm gonna cut out meat, and now I'm gonna cut out gluten," and just kind of going with it, but it was I have definitely found that doing one thing at a time, one little micro thing, unless you're really feeling the pull
No,
to
I
make the
that's
big
why we
shifts,
wanted to
but
do this episode. It's true because I think Chelsea and I both in our past have done the big changes and made the big leaps. And I'm sure anyone listening can probably relate on some level that we get inspired and then we just want to do all the things and be a different person and make all the changes that will make us a different person. I think as we get
it can lead to
older,
burnout
yeah, exactly. Like we survive burnout. We're
quickly.
like, how can I do that differently so that the result is
Yeah.
different? Yes, exactly.
Yeah, how can I do it so that my entire world isn't like shifted?
Yes,
It's
yes,
kind of
yes,
like,
yes.
I mean, not to say that life doesn't always bring us the opportunity to do it in the micro. Sometimes it's like, nope, we're making
Mm,
huge shifts and,
good point.
letting go of that and just flowing with it. But if we have the choice of just doing something daily, like what micro shift would you make? What micro shift would be most impactful in your life that you can think of right now?
That's such a great question to pose. Like, I was thinking of my micro shifts of late, and you mentioned diet, and I think diet's a great example of taking it slowly one by one because it's pretty cool to feel the impact. Like, for example, but they're big changes and they're not necessarily easy to make because of our culture. But like cutting out alcohol, which is I know something else you have done as well. Like your body, your mind, your exhaustion. I have a friend who just did it again in her life. Like everything changes, you know, it's pretty exciting to experience. Well, there can be a withdrawal period at first and a very difficult period at first. The detox period is no fucking joke. But like, then there's the kind of changes like journaling. Like when I started my 3 pages every day, it was because I was doing a course, like the workbook course of the artist way. And then she just prescribes 3 pages a day. And I just took that for no I mean, I could do 2, I could do 4, I could do a random amount every day, whatever I want, or not every day, but it kinda helped to have that structure for me given by Julia Cameron, the author of that workbook, and then I kept going, 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 and at different points throughout my life I started it in my 20s, and I've come back to it and left it, come back to it, but at this point and phase and for many, many, many years, I do it every day, and I simply like the brushing teeth example. It just literally feels like a supportive, easy, flowy thing for me. And that's again for me. Like that won't be for everyone, but for me to be able to talk to myself and get out feelings and just take out a bunch of junk that would be taking up space in my head. And then but I don't know, I wanna think about, like, what would I do? Like, is there a new micro I think doing Tai Chi every day was my most recent micro change. I finally learned it well enough to be able to do it on my own in my yard. That was a big game changer, and
And how many years did that take to learn it?
oh, I've been doing Tai Chi. It was so funny, my teacher the other day, I went with her to, like, this special different park with her old school. She's in her 80s, and she's been doing it for 40 years, so she took me with some of her OG Tai Chi people, and she was introducing me as her student of 1 year, and I'm thinking, I think it was, like, 4 years? Like, I think I started with her maybe almost 4 years ago, but I wasn't consistent, and I did it once in a while. I couldn't get over there. I didn't have time. And it's as she always says, Tai Chi is not hard, but it's takes a long time to learn, actually, the just the form and the flow. And it's only been this past year that something finally clicked into place, and then it was only in the past, like, couple months that I actually got a recording of her Chinese teacher doing it that I could listen to in my earbuds while I do it in my backyard or in my home, and then being able to do that to someone calling out the moves one by one was what finally cemented it for me. So, yeah, it's been a while. It took a while to get here.
Yeah, my most recent micro change, which you know, has definitely been the diet sector again. I had decided to do like a 30-day reset. And then as I was kind of going through that, it started out like, okay, I'm just going to eat nothing processed. And I've been doing that for 3 weeks now. Then I had decided, okay, now I'm going to, as you, many of you might know from one of our past episodes, I had went out to LA and saw this Korean doctor who measured all my organs and took my blood and gave me my body type. And with that body type, there are recommendations on things to eat and things to not eat. And yesterday, I got the pamphlet out and I took it upstairs and I was like, okay, now that I've been on this 3 week journey and I've kind of made it over the hump of really the cravings or the desires, which I will also say have not been near as much this time around. And I think it was just really because it was coming from a different place, a different desire. And yeah, so I have that out. And so that's my next micro change is to start really being more intentional with just having those foods and not because even though certain things are healthy or natural, they're not recommended for my body type. And so I'm just trying to get to that optimum level instead of going stopping everything cold turkey as I have in the past and it lasting for a few months or 6 months or a year or whatever. I'm really looking to make the lasting change that is lifetime, you know? I mean, yeah, of course, there will be times when special occasions and different instances to have the things that are outside of it, but mostly just with the teeth brushing. I mean, yeah, I'm sure that every now and then, maybe there's one night, like one night every several months or once a year that you forget to brush your teeth before you go to bed because you're just exhausted or you fell asleep somewhere else or whatever. Went on a trip and didn't have your toothbrush, whatever it is. For the most part, it's the daily habit, it's the consistency.
Sometimes it's not necessarily every day, like a journaling or meditation or even the diet, like you said. It doesn't you're not failing. I think we know this, but it's bears repeating, like, even to myself, like, we're not failing if we don't do it every day. It's the micro change. There's some sort of magic that happens where I feel that the habit begins to lift you up and support you so that even if I have a few days off of it, it's not hard to find my way back to it. I actually look forward to it. I'm so happy to get back to it. You know what I mean? That's really once it's gotten very absorbed into myself.
Yeah. And as women, noticing our cycles and noticing what our hormone levels are, where we are in our time of the month, and what our different energy levels are, and what our body's asking for, and being tuned in to that.
My God, yes. I've made so much sense. Like when you were telling me about not deciding not to cold plunge or do certain things when you were on your moon, and myself too, just the other day, I was like, "I think I will sleep in several hours." It was a weekend because instead of doing any of the daily habits in the morning, and that felt like the very best choice, yeah.
Yeah, well, I was really kind of reignited. I mean, I host moon circles and do different things. And so the moon and the lunar cycle, the yin cycle of the universe is usually like top of the mind, but I hadn't really considered tying my cycle to it, or I hadn't been as intentional about it. And then one of the last workshops that we did with Kate Northrup, the Good with Money, she actually some of the bonus materials that she handed out for the workshop included different, I think that they were actually pictures and pages out of her workbooks maybe that she has for clients or that she sells.
Yeah, she wrote a book that
Okay.
got published called Do Less, which I haven't read, but that's what she's yeah, she said it's about exactly that, what you're saying, which is so interesting.
Yeah, and so then you tie it to even if you are, menopausal or postmenopause or anything, you just tie it to the actual lunar cycle and really paying attention. And I have noticed, like whenever I was at yoga teacher training, whenever I was on more of a regimented routine and super healthy routine, getting ample amount of sleep, not having a ton of stress, eating really healthy, that I did naturally get in the same cycle with the moon, and that was pretty wild and
Ooh, that's cool.
incredible.
Oh, that's really
Yeah,
cool. Yeah.
yeah.
That's so interesting. I think it's a good sign that I'm trying to think what micro change would I want to do, and I think I'm pretty proud of the fact that I think I've incorporated so many and little by little, and also, again, I always like to say the disclaimer that I'm able to do it right now for many reasons. Yes, I have 4 children, 2 of them are out of the house, the other 2 are now officially all teenagers, with the youngest one crossing the border into 13. And I'm not caretaking, in other words, like tiny kids or elderly or not grinding 24/7 at different jobs. And so and I don't have a husband. So I've had myself to take care of. So I've had this beautiful opportunity to experiment with many micro changes in my life and continue to keep whether it's beauty, like paying more attention to the way I'm taking care of myself and the way I even groom myself, like add a little like scented oil every day, what I do with pleasure, self-pleasure sessions. Those are micro changes that I've implemented and keep doing and uplift and support me so much that I know that I don't think there's one right now that I haven't done that I'm thinking I need to do. And I don't want to put something on myself just to do it. You know what I mean? Because that's the old me where I was like, well, I could clean better. And so that should be my new micro change. Like that's something that crossed my head. But on the other hand, I'm thinking I'm going to be organic about it and I will clean spending
I
ice.
think you are cleaning
Yeah.
more.
I mean, that's the
You
thing.
got
It's
the
happened
cleaners, like
organically. Yeah. Mhm.
yeah.
The
So,
cleaner I knocked
I
her down a day, and I'm spending more time with my kids, which would be the other like, that started to happen with myself changing. I actually initiated those micro changes. I'm so proud.
Yeah, and that's what it's about. It's not about making a list of, "Oh, these are the things I should be doing this." This isn't about, like, shooting on yourself.
Yes,
This is
yes,
about,
yes,
like,
yes.
thinking, like, "What would
Ugh.
be nourishing for me? What would feel good to my body?" And for all of the people who have little ones or who have multiple jobs or whose time schedules are not as luxurious and free, that doesn't mean that's the beauty of the micro change, is that it doesn't take a lot of time. Like I said, like this is something that you're adding on to something that you already do. Even like with the scented essential oil or the lotion, or even in the shower. Maybe it's just giving yourself a breast massage in the shower and really bringing attention to your body, or really as you're washing with the body wash, not just doing it and going through the motion, but really thanking each of your body parts as you're washing it. Like that can be a micro change that you can do. So I think that's important to note that it doesn't have to be some huge shift. Yeah.
Yeah, it reminds me too the title of the book that I love that I read before our first 10-day silent meditation retreat called I think it's called 10% Happier by Dan Harris, and it really his whole mission in life is to reach the most sort of intellectually minded left brain people who would normally be like, meditation, I can't sit down. I can't get my mind to stop. I can't. I don't have time. I don't care. And his whole point is like, he was one of those people. And then his whole life changed when he started little by little by little to introduce meditation into his life. And he just came up with this idea like it makes us 10% happier to make those teeny tiny
Mm,
small shifts. And
amazing.
yeah,
I think that's all I have.
yeah, me too, me too. We make the micro changes together. You are not alone in your changes. We would love for you to reach out to us if there's any changes that you are considering or that you've already done and you want someone to applaud you and cheer you. We're ready. We're ready to do that.
Someone to fan your flame, to be your hype girls. We are those girls.
We are totally those girls with our brighter bees.
Reach out to us, share them
Yeah.
with us. Yeah. We were just discussing before this episode having like a brighter bee brag board where people can just write in everything they're bragging about and then everyone can uplift each other and like cheer each other on and really to be a space to shine whenever so many places are saying, not to, or you're feeling like, oh, maybe I shouldn't, or I don't want other people to feel like that they're not as shiny, but yeah, shine, 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 shine. That's what you're here to do.
Yeah. We could start it maybe on the Facebook. Yeah, if it's not on our we have a Facebook page as well. That might be a good place to start with people joining, and we invite you to join our Facebook community, our Facebook community and Instagram community and Brighter Bee community, where I have a website where you can put your email in there and subscribe. Make sure to share this episode with other women and men and friends who could benefit from it, who you think might enjoy it. We would appreciate that. And we love to close out each episode, as you probably know if you've been here before with us, with our mini daily W for today. And I will go first. I'm going to brag about my outfit today. I'm still, for those of you watching YouTube, I'm still wearing some of it, my beautiful silk shirt. Because I had a meeting with my daughter's college counselor, and my daughter, she's a junior in a private Orthodox Jewish high school, and I am no longer Orthodox Jewish, but I wanted to dress elegantly and professionally and maternally, and yeah, I felt I fucking nailed it. I felt so happy with my outfits. I'm fucking bragging about my cool outfit today. I had these cargo pants on that were flowy, but my daughter was like, "Are you wearing a skirt?" Because like the Orthodox Jewish thing, but they don't. It's very open-minded to school. It's not repressive. So it's the parents can do whatever they want to a degree. But anyway, long story short, that's my first brag. And my first or my that's my wow, my win. And my first win. And then my and my wow, I'm getting excited. What am I grateful for? I'm grateful for my friend Delana. I don't know if you'll ever hear this, but I went to lunch with her and my other beautiful friend Acrosia yesterday. They were my old besties from the 90s. They are not old themselves. They're young and gorgeous. And Delana gifted me out of the blue with these 2 tickets to see a comedian, the most hilarious comedian, Rory Scovel, last night at the super cool comedy club in LA called Largo, and I was able to take my girlfriend, and it was such a surprise, and such a delight, and I am super grateful for that gift. That's my wow.
So beautiful. And I will definitely say, upright you and say that outfit is amazing. I even complimented on it before we got on the show, being like, yeah, you look hot. Yeah. Okay. My wish, my desire. Well, there is one thing that is really, really pulling on my heart and has been in my heart for the last several days. And that is my baby sister. And I am just wishing and desiring, and if there's anyone out there that wants to send some energy, some love to her, I'm just wishing for her highest good, for her to find the resources and the help and the support that can best serve her in this chapter of her life, and for her to really find health and healing and wellness mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually for yeah, for her highest good and evolution and for my niece and nephews and yeah, that is my wish.
May it be so. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you for sharing that very vulnerable and beautiful wish. Again, I kind of said all the subscribe and share things a little early, but we would love for you to share this episode, any and all episodes. Reach out. We love you. We appreciate you. We hope you'll join us next
Until
time in 2
then,
weeks.
may your days bring
Till
bright.
later.